Okay, welcome everybody to the Chainlink Build panel. This is a birthday of sorts for Chainlink Build. It was 1 year ago today at SmartCon where we launched the Build program. And today we have over 70 plus projects within it. And it's been great. And if you don't know what Chainlink Build is, it's a strategic program we have to work with early stage projects that we want to work closely with, we want to be partnered with, and we want to build together. And it's projects across the Web3 space. And so I think this panel really exemplifies the breadth of build, and we've really got excellent projects here to showcase. So as introduction, my name is John Walsh. I'm on the success side of Chainlink Build. And so I get to work with all these projects, and honored to be on it, excited to be here. To my left, as a quick intro, we have Charles here from the Swan project, and Christian here from Mind Network, and these are kind of showing the infrastructure side. We have Corey here from Dolomite as a DeFi project, Javier here from Lit Lab Games, and Slater Hall from the Blueberry Protocol. And so why don't we just get to it? So we can do quick intros. So we'll start with Charles. If you could give a little background and kind of explain, as a quick overview of what Swan is.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Charles. I'm the founder of Swan project. So Swan is a decentralized computing framework. Enable everybody can deploy their apps and infra to our network. So currently we already have over 70 cities join with 20 nodes and thousands of servers and GPUs available for general usage. So anybody can use the rich resource on the network to do the cross-chain computing and storage.
My name is Christian. I'm with Mind Network. Mind Network is a zero-trust network for data in Web3 and AI. So we use the principles of never trust, always verify in our framework, which is built upon fully homomorphic encryption and ZK proofs.
I'm Corey Kaplan from Dolomite. We are a next-generation lending protocol built on Arbitrum. We're working on bringing DeFi native rights back to DeFi users and making the overall DeFi experience when it comes to lending and trading more sophisticated and analogous to what you see on centralized finance and traditional finance today.
Hi, hey everyone, my name is Javi. I come from another side, from the gaming side. We are Lit Lab Games, and we are a Web 2.5 publisher and gaming studio. We are actually trying to change the way revenue models are coming to the gaming ecosystem. We really think there is something there that we can actually approach on the esports side and the gaming side, and we're here to change it with real products. Our first product actually is Cyber Titans. We launched this game in May, and actually we became the most played game in Elixir Launcher. I think maybe you know it, for 6 consecutive months, and now achieving different milestones, like being listed in Epic Games. We're one of the 20-something games of blockchains in the world to be listed there. So yeah, we're releasing the mobile version soon, and well, pleased to be here.
I'm Slater. I'm one of the founders of Blueberry and Bloom protocols. Similarly to Corey's point, I used to run a fund before this in the DeFi space, and I always thought it was funny how myself and other managers preferred to use centralized exchanges with very opaque counterparty risks and other uncertainties, which we kind of saw the results of in 2021 and 2022. So moving forward, we'd really like to see the space offer more comparable products and services in a fully decentralized and non-custodial format. So that's Blueberry's primary goal, kind of a decentralized prime brokerage product. And we also have an additional protocol called Bloom, which brings permissionless real-world lending opportunities onto the blockchain. And those kind of combine nicely into a few different leverage strategies and things you could do on Blueberry.
So we'll stay with you, Slater. So I guess, you kind of provided a general overview there. But if you could go a little deeper, I guess, what was some of the pain points you saw, as a builder, kind of what was the inspiration behind Blueberry, and how did you see it where you saw that you felt like Blueberry could really change the space.
Yeah, so I mean, at the risk of stating the obvious, one of the, I think, major trends that everybody is developing in the space in the wake of is the FTX blow up and just a lot of the risks that became very apparent when centralized lending desks and brokers and exchanges made poor decisions and kind of opaque management styles and the systemic risks that could cause to the system. I think just really reaffirmed that we need to build better on-chain capabilities that are actually usable, that can actually mimic what people can use on centralized applications. So I mean, that is the primary source of inspiration, but then not only that, also bringing in new real-world asset-derived yield opportunities that can offer things that are sustainable, yield strategies and trading strategies that actually have a source of sustainable value or yield, whatever it is. I think we're kind of at the logical conclusion of the DeFi. Everything is self-referential and somewhat Ponzi-ish at times, and it's time to bring real-world assets and capabilities into the space while leveraging the characteristics of composability and security of the blockchain, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Let's stick on the DeFi theme for a second, so we'll get back to Javier, but let's go to Corey. I guess similar question, like, yeah, what did you see in the space? What was the inspiration behind Dolomite?
Yeah, so when you consider the overall evolution that we saw of DeFi over the past several years, it transitioned from being called open finance to eventually decentralized finance. Key players like Aave and Compound emerged that were able to underwrite lending markets that were really innovative and still are to this day. But what also changed with DeFi over time was this idea that you have these tokens that originally people thought of them as like equity tokens on chain, but instead started to morph into something very different, very new. And all of a sudden, these assets you're holding, you can stake them, vest them, vote with them, or even new things that we don't even know about yet or might be created tomorrow. And what we wanted to do with Dolomite, first and foremost, was allow users to retain these rights that we call DeFi native rights with these assets while they borrow against them. Because it was common practice, because Aave and Compound and others were built before DeFi is what it is today, to relinquish these rights and capabilities when you want to go borrow against them. So we think the modern day of DeFi is going to really heavily involve retaining the cool things that make it unique while still bringing in the important financial primitives that exist in traditional finance.
Yeah, great. So let's go next to Charles on the infrastructure side. Yeah, how did it was originally Phil Swan. They've just rebranded to the Swan Project. So yeah, you can kind of go into some of the past of how you guys built out and became Swan.
Yeah, it has been a long time. So we started the research a long time ago, about 5 to 6 years ago, back to 2017. We see like in the past years, we see like the demand of the decentralized infra is increased while everybody talking about decentralization, right? So we need decentralized storage, decentralized computing, like a bandwidth, everything. But the problem, like nobody really knows, like how can I bring them together? And there was lots of ways of doing that. For example, like we have IPFS, we have Filecoin, we have lots of computing solutions. But there was a big problem, like where are those providers, right? So lots of people are thinking about decentralization is a provider from a home computer or something. But for more realistic, if you really want to competing with AWS, Google, or centralized computing power, what do you need a data center? So what we have done, like we start from storage, because at the end your data need to store somewhere. So we built in the first product, like the first one, based on Filecoin, using the numerous storage power they have. Then we get about 500 petabytes of storage in about 200 providers worldwide. Then we start thinking like now's the time to do the computing. So that's why we renaming us from first one to Swan, because we are doing more than just storage. With the computing power, we have 1,000 GPUs already. So if you want to do machine learning, if you want to deploy your RPC services, like even in the region, currently like maybe Amazon or Google doesn't provide, because the multiple data centers can provide service in that region, you can get access to that. So we can cover about 200 locations worldwide to give you the facility. But still, there was more, people need more than that, right? Just have computing power, just have the payment from multi-chain is not enough. People need some places can easily getting access. So we developed a second product we called Lagrange. So it's a Web3 version, version of GitHub. So basically, like you can host in your code, you can make sure your code, your data is persistent long term on the distributed network, and you can easily get resource to deploy your dApps on multi-regions in worldwide and to benefit from decentralization. And we see like even the RPC services, the nodes, every blockchain nodes growing larger and larger. Like back to 5 years ago, you probably need just one PC with 100 GB. You can run your node, but now you need terabytes or even more than that. So this is the opportunity we see, and this is also the problem we want to solve.
Yeah, and it's great. Can you start to see a lot of what they're building and how other Chainlink build projects can take advantage of that, so it becomes a very healthy relationships within the build ecosystem. So same question over to you, Christian.
Well, I think so Web3 has a real privacy problem. All data in Web3 is public and transparent. So we kind of started with this problem of like, look, if you're looking at your smart wallet, your MetaMask wallet or whatever, and you've been in crypto for the last 5-6 years, there's a lot of identifying data in there. If you have art, it might signify how much wealth you have. If you have, you'll have geolocational data in there, DAOs you participate in. You can really string together a lot about people. So I think it started out with just my network's goal was let's add some privacy to Web3. And then we had kind of the luxury of the wind at our back in Web2 with the Twitter files at the beginning of the year. And it's kind of these famous breaches about how our data is being used, always not in our best interest. So the mission is let's build privacy. Data rights are human rights. And so it started there, and it's been building into ZKML, into AI, to owning your chat history and your prompts, to being able to secure wallet data and transaction data. So I think timing is important, and we happen to kind of come into the right time. Privacy is an issue in Web 2 and in Web 3, so we're having a lot of fun solving those problems.
Yeah, great. And so Javier, on the gaming side, if you can kind of talk about some gaming's like very established, but now like what you guys do, and then Web3 gaming, and kind of expand on how you guys approach it differently.
Well, actually, that's a lot, sorry. The first thing you have to do is like to know the market. And when you understand how gamers work out and they think it's like they are running into their homes when they come from work or studying or whatever, they just throw everything on the ground and start playing. You cannot make them like create a wallet, buy tokens here, there, sign transactions, all this bullshit. It's like there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of things that blockchain can give us, but you cannot put a technological barrier that is like super high for gamers that just want to play games, eat Cheetos, and eat milkshakes. So it's like the first thing we were approaching was that, like the infrastructure we are using for onboarding players that are Web 2 gamers into Web 3 games. So it's like a Web 2.5 infrastructure. We have developed all of this. So right now we have like, I don't know, like there's so many ways of calling this like abstraction wallet or human wallet or whatever. Just use blockchain without knowing you're using blockchain. And the second thing is that if you've been in the market for a while, you know that games are fucking shit in Web3. It's like terrible, terrible, terrible. So actually our aim was like super clear. Create a good game and do not let them know that they're into the Web3 side. So it's like push them to actually, when they're into the game, they like it. They say like, oh, I can monetize. I can bring community. I can actually create something around that. And this one is quite linked to, for example, the BRF in Chainlink. It's like you have something that is really useful. That is the random number generator. So with this one, you can use it from directly your PC. But what's happening with BRF? You're telling people, I'm using this technology and I'm not touching it. It's like 100% decentralized, so you can trust on me when I'm randomizing something in my game, in my casino, in my whatever you can do, my loot boxes or whatever. So it's like with CCIP, right now I jump from one to another one. It's like I think it's bringing this kind of technology that we like. So at the end in gaming, we are just aiming for, okay, good games and you can monetize. So It's a good approach for the gamers at the moment.
Yeah, great. I feel like this is one of the later panels, so we can go a little more with the language here. But you brought up a good point with VRF, and kind of that's the whole point of Chainlink Build is building together. So kind of turning to where we are today. They always say time to build is in a bear market. And so it's a general question to everyone, but I think it's a little, we'll kind of make it specific to each because everyone's in kind of a different phase. Dolomites, similarly to Chainlink Build, kind of launched about a year ago. So they've been live and have had impressive organic growth in a very down market. So Corey, yeah, like what have you seen over the last year since the launch at Dolomite? The features that, as you respond to users that you guys have been focused on and have been their strategic priorities of late?
So generally, since the bear market came in, there's been a really strange tidal shift in terms of where yield is generated, where the users are, and what they're interested in. Generally, trust is pretty hurt because of all the things that have happened in centralized finance, of course, with the FTX blow up. We talked about that, but also with several DeFi protocols being hacked. Generally speaking, when it comes to DeFi, security is paramount. It's number one. Without that, you don't have a protocol that people can use because you can't trust it and your assets might vanish overnight. So we're very fortunate to have great relationships with high-quality auditors like Cypherin and others that have looked at our protocol and help provide that extra assurance to not just ourselves, but to our users. And trying to rebuild that trust is super important. And the next layer to that is being really close to the market to understand where that yield is going and building a system that's able to quickly integrate with those new assets, with those communities, so you can offer something that they want to use. And I always joke about this with John because we talk to each other quite frequently about how Chainlink can closely help us. And we have these two very different roadmap items that are going on in tandem. We have very trendy things where we work with other protocols and communities to integrate with their system or list new assets that people are excited about in the moment. But then we also have these broader goals that we're working towards, which is where we work very closely with Chainlink to introduce new features over time. And this was actually our introduction to Build that made us so excited, was that we had these really interesting ideas of ways that we can use Chainlink's technology stack in unique ways by combining different pieces together, or introduce new things that don't even exist yet to really service the next generation of decentralized finance. So it's been a pleasure working with John and really trying to work on these two different things at the same time. And similarly, for our team, it's been very stressful trying to juggle two very different things at the same time. So it's been a lot of fun, though. And definitely I would say bear markets are for building in that way because we're able to continue working on things even though things are on the quieter side, which allows us to really stay focused and not necessarily get too distracted by what's going on with the broader market then.
Yeah, excellent. And so Slater, yeah, when you joined Build, I kind of thought of you as Blueberry, but now you have the Bloom product, which you mentioned. Could you talk about that, of where you see that opportunity and what excites you about it?
Yeah, so specifically for Bloom, I think it is born out of a pretty passionate agreement with the values of Web3 and the ethos of decentralization and trust minimization. I think a lot of the biggest issues that have arisen in this industry often come from compromising on those values, right? So not to beat a dead horse, but FTX thing, again, is like kind of this opaque black box where they're interacting with a lot of DeFi and a lot of the blockchain, but in a way where no one really knows what's going on and bad things happen, right? And same with lending desks. And the thing that I see happening today with the real-world asset trend in space is again, a compromise of those values, because of course you do have to have some level of trust and interaction with the real world fiat system, which is always going to require a counterparty and a custodian. But I think a lot of the protocols that are starting to pop up in that space are kind of over-centralizing, and we wanted to really build a product that aligns with the values of decentralization and trust minimization, where the only vector of vulnerability for counterparty risk is a Swiss regulated custodian bank where you have an actual legal agreement to redeem the token that you're holding for that underlying asset, and they can't do anything else in their business. That is their only function as a business. And beyond that point, everything else in our system is completely decentralized and shares value with users every step of the way. Sorry, I shouldn't clear my throat in there. But just, again, just really maximizing that approach versus maybe other players are taking a bit more of a hybrid or centralized approach. We think that's a niche that's really needed. So that's what we're trying to do with Bloom.
Yeah, very good. And yeah, so Charles, you mentioned Lagrange. So you have Swan, decentralized storage, and now Lagrange is like the GitHub of Web3. So you're obviously building a lot. And so I guess what's exciting you now with what you're building?
Yes, we're going to a new stage. So with the Lagrange launching as the GitHub for Web3, so it's not just the benefit ourselves, but it's more benefit the general community for builders. So now builders can get the resource like storage. They can direct store the data, the code on our platform, and the code will be distributed worldwide. And another side can easily get the computing resource, like if you wanted to run a Web3 with some AI stuff like Stable Diffusion that requires lots of GPUs, bandwidth, etc. And you can get it done with one click on our platform. If you want to let others building products based on your experience, they can easily just click the fork button. Then you can fork your code and get something like building, modify the existing work and create your own work. So, but there was one thing we still want to protect, right? When people building on top of your work, or a musician or artist creating something new and store on the platform, you don't want people use it maliciously, right? You want to license their copy, license their protect your IP and give them the copyright or license them. So we created a feature called the data NFT. So you can persist in your data, your code, your work, and license in different people. So in order to verify your ownership, there was one critical feature we used from the Chainlink functions. You're using Chainlink functions to validate your ownership. So that's the first step. You verify ownership, you can provide your ownership, then you can license to others' usage. When you want to license to others, so people maybe on different blockchains, they probably from Ethereum, probably from OP, probably from even other chains like Solana, etc. So we do with the Chainlink SysIP support, they give you the capability to doing cross-chain messaging. So using the SysIP technology, now you can have only one data NFT as original license, and you can license the right to use on different chains using the cross-chain NFT. So which means that it's different from nowadays. Everybody wanted to have even the same metadata on two chains. You need to deploy the contract twice. Actually, that will create a duplicate NFT. So with this way, you get an original NFT and licensing to different chains, so that protect your work and also reduce your development work as a developer as well. So Chainlink technology benefit us a lot, and I think that's a value for us.
Yep. Yeah, it's an exciting use case, and yeah, one we're excited to be working with you on. So Christian, I think I'm trying to remember when mine first joined, I felt like it was even in stealth mode still. So it's been exciting to watch the growth and the visibility of my network. And so I guess, yeah, can you expand on what you guys have been focusing on and what you guys are building?
Well, yeah, I think so. A year ago, there were virtually no fully homomorphic encryption projects in Web3. Now there are several. It's the holy grail of cryptography. It has an application in almost every layer. So in DeFi, you're adding privacy to transactions, sender, receiver, volume, token type. This is important. It adds security in DeFi as well, because it actually can provide the KYC, AML information that banks require with additional security in a way that is actually Web3 friendly. So you're not just giving them the data, it's not living on their server. In DePIN, in GameFi, any activity that you're doing in Web3, if you want there to be some privacy, so that you're not just, especially in DePIN, is very popular, people are mining their devices, but they're also giving up all of the data of those devices, geolocational data and all their activity, where they spend time, what apps. So it's really mandatory that we get this down, and it's cool to see in the last year. I mean, like I said, there were no FHE products, and now Phoenix was a popular FHE chain, just raised money from Multicoin I think a couple of weeks ago. So we'll see more in this space. Vitalik's very excited about it. The most recent paper he co-authored was around privacy, saying privacy is the single biggest problem for Ethereum to scale. So I can't remember any time in my life that data privacy was sexy, but it seems now like this is as close as we'll get. We're living in this window where we have a chance to do it right. And what I think is important too is that in this bear market in the last year, what we've seen a lot of demand from banks. Banks are quietly working on getting Web3 because 93% of institutional clients want access to it. You see Nike, Shopify, Starbucks, all these big brands, they're playing with it quietly, they're figuring it out. And I align with Vitalik in thinking that if we let them do it, they'll make user-friendly Web3 products that are very centralized. If we can figure out how to do it, it'll be decentralized, it'll be more for a Web3 user and kind of create the data ownership that I think a lot of us in Web3 want. So it's kind of a race right now, and I think you're going to see a head-to-head match in the next year or two as these products develop and mature.
All right, definitely. And so for Javier, what's the future of Lit Labs? Where is it going, and what should people be looking out for?
Well, actually, we are aiming for creating new video games. Our first step is to release Cyber Titans in mobile version, because we have been testing since May to balance all the video game and everything, and we want to actually launch our first esports circuit in mobile phone. And we are acquiring 2 more games that we will make public really soon at the end of the year. So we want to have in 2024 3 working games with the lead token working in all of them. And it was like very interesting what you were saying, guys, about the cross-chain and NFTs, because actually it has a lot of sense. It's like, you just have one asset, but you can approach different communities. Without the CCIP, you couldn't do this. So it's now we have the possibility of doing so. So yes, for Lit Lab Games, more video games will come. Like we have a huge new to tell you about, like in a couple of months, where Web2 publishers are joining Web3 gaming, which is great. And yeah, nothing more.
And I think we're wrapping up. So is there any last things from you on your side of how users can get in touch with you? Like what's the best way for them to engage?
Actually, like the best way is like go download Cyber Titans and play it. If you like it, you can stay and for sure, if you don't like it, go away. Like this is gaming. Let's be straightforward. Actually, the quality of the video game is nothing you've seen in Web3. It's actually a Web2 video game developed for more than a year and a half. Give it a try for sure. And if not, you can wait for the next video game that we release.
Nice. And to Slater, and as a wrap up, any last things that are top of mind, and how would users engage with you?
Yeah, so obviously, like I mentioned earlier, we're trying to build something that's really for the people, like super simple to understand, is not just this kind of gated walled garden for institutions to access and play with. So if you want to try out what an on-chain T-bill-esque product feels like, that you can use as a building block or as a Lego around the DeFi space, you can use it as a collateral asset, you can use it in liquidity pools. Just go to bloom.garden is our site for Bloom products. Blueberry will be coming out in the next few weeks. I don't know how much of a target audience that applies to, but then yeah, the best place to keep up with what we're doing is Blueberry FDN is our Twitter handle, and yeah, we got a lot more new integrations coming out for the rest of the year. Thanks, John.
Absolutely, and to you, Corey.
Yep. You can find us at dolomite.io on my shirt here. From there, you can find all of our social media links. And if you're a user that currently is holding assets that you enjoy using for their original purpose, like voting, etc., bring them over to Dolomite, and you can continue to retain those rights while you borrow against them.
Nice. Christian.
One more of an info layer, so I'll just announce that we are announcing our ZT Bridge project, hopefully to partner with CCIP, which will help to bridge actually traditional finance, like trillions of dollars of capital, finally give them the security and the privacy rails they need. CCIP has done the security part. We're hoping to partner with them on the privacy part, but it's a bridge product. We know bridges are like the weakest thing in Web3. It's where a lot of the hacks happen. So we launched that this week, and you can find us at mynetwork.xyz on Twitter, Telegram, Discord, and we'll keep announcements there.
Great. Charles.
Yep. So we're a heavy journey with build a program, and we are moving forward. So we're going to do the testnet launch like a middle of November. So there will be a lot of opportunities for you to try it, and there will be new applications deployed, stable diffusions, music generations. There are lots of opportunities you can try. You can probably earn some rewards during the test. So if you're interested in results, you can visit our Twitter, SwanChain, and also like our website, swanchain.io. Yep.
All right, great. All right, so I think different from other panels where there might be a single topic, this one was unique in the sense we jumped around into different spaces of Web3. But what I hope you got out of that is that the future of Web3 is very exciting, and we have a number of projects really pushing the frontier, and I hope you got a good sense of that. So go to their websites, go to their docs, support the projects, and yeah, I want to thank all the panelists.